120 seconds. To you and me, that's nothing. But in Formula 1, it was enough to change the sport as we know it, and not for the right reasons. Today's story is one that should have never happened, but sadly, it did, and there's a lot we can learn from it. This is the story of the 120 seconds that changed F1 forever. Remember 2014? Frozen was topping the charts, Vine was still a thing, and the Ice Bucket Challenge was flooding the internet. Everyone was singing Happy by Pharrell Williams. Brazil's World Cup had the whole summer in a chokehold. Man, the nostalgia hits hard. But while the rest of the world was out here vibing and pouring ice water on their heads, F1 was going through a full-on identity crisis. How, you ask? Well, they pretty much dropped the biggest changes the sport had ever seen.
The biggest change in regulation in Formula 1 since Formula 1 exists.
Gone with a screaming high-revving 2.4-litre V8. In came the new 1.6-litre turbocharged V6 hybrids, which, let's be real, made the cars sound more like angry vacuum cleaners than race cars. On top of that, teams now had to run an entire race on just 100 kilograms of fuel, and instead of using 8 engines per season, they were only allowed 5. Oh, and those blown diffusers everyone had been using for extra grip? Banned. To improve safety, the FIA decided that the front wings had to be way lower, which gave us some of the most meme-worthy, weird-looking noses in F1 history.
What the hell is even that?
With all the new tech crammed in, the cars got quieter, and for the first time ever, F1 wasn't just about speed anymore. But why? Well, simple. F1 was trying to catch up with the whole new image of sustainability, efficiency, and high-tech innovation that the car industry was starting to push. The days of big engines, big fuel loads, and big middle fingers to the environment, over. Now it was all about saving fuel, recovering energy, and showing off how techy they could be. Makes sense, right? Yeah, well, not everyone was on board. Fans and drivers, a lot of them hated it at first. I mean, going from this to this. It was a rough transition, but like it or not, all those changes came to stay. I know you're into old school F1 too, so hit that subscribe button and let's see if we can somehow make it to the FIA one day. While most teams were busy freaking out and just trying to keep their engines from blowing up in the first few races, there was one team that totally cracked the code. After years of Red Bull domination, the Silver Arrows had no real competition, with Hamilton and Rosberg going head-to-head in an epic fight for the title. Red Bull, stuck with a buggy Renault engine, got bumped down to second, and Williams, cruising with that sweet Mercedes power, grabbed third. And sure, the year got a lot of hate, but it still gave us some wild races and surprises, like that legendary showdown between Rosberg and Hamilton in Bahrain.
Lewis Hamilton locks up as well as Nico Rosberg. He's moved around that right-hander. Hamilton now trying to fight back down the hill. This is where Rosberg went off on the first lap. This is where Hamilton on lap 19 regains the lead back again.
I'm not quite sure whether you can continue to win races and then suddenly you have a chance for a 1 and 2 and they fight each other so hard.
Oh my goodness, don't touch, they're so close!
A little bit too far back, but he's going to go for it down the inside.
We were very close to each other and I was excited.
Mercedes are going to make it back-to-back 1-2s. It's Lewis Hamilton who once again wins the Grand Prix.
Marussia finally scoring points thanks to Jules Bianchi in Monaco.
Jules Bianchi really raced his heart out and he actually gave the team an incredible amount of hope at that point.
Hi Jules, mighty job mate, absolute mighty.
Finally we have a point. Woo!
Or Ricciardo snagging his very first F1 win in Montreal.
They're both not running at full pace, 2 or 3 seconds a lap slower, but they're still racing. Hamilton's coming back at him. Oh, Hamilton goes straight through and on. Hamilton's championship hopes, well, they're going to take a big dent from this.
As soon as I saw him, I was like, you know, the heart rate started coming up. I was like, we could be on here.
Look, here comes Daniel Ricciardo on Nico Rosberg. Ricciardo takes the lead in Canada. Unbelievable. The Roman Felipe Massa goes into the back of Sergio Perez, and that is a massive crash.
Ricciardo gets to savour the last lap.
Nobody can overtake you. You're going to win the race. Just stay positive on the Delta, mate.
The team rush out to applaud him home. Mercedes fail. Red Bull pick up the pieces. It is Daniel Ricciardo that comes home to take the victory.
But it wasn't until the final stages of the season that F1 got hit with a truly game-changing moment. One no one ever could have imagined. For the 8th time this season, Rosberg grabs pole, with Hamilton and the two Williams right behind. The championship's tighter and more exciting than ever, and Suzuka's going to be a huge deal for the season finale. But none of that really matters now, because F1 just gets rocked by a bombshell. After spending pretty much his whole career with the energy drink team and snagging 4 titles, seeing Seb on a different team feels kinda weird. Where's Seb gonna land? No one really knows.
I have no power. I have absolutely no power.
Let Daniel go through, please. Sebastian, let Ricciardo through.
Next chicane, does Ricciardo try around the outside? He cuts back to the inside. He's gone past his teammate. Sebastian Vettel could do nothing.
I lost drive.
Pull over, turn it off. Pull over, turn it off.
Must be choking.
I think that was probably quite a defining moment for Sebastian. He was enormously frustrated after that. He made his decision, right, I'm going to do something different for next year. He was actually physically in tears about it. That it was like leaving home, but he decided to take on a new challenge at Ferrari.
Alonso's been stuck with Ferrari for 5 seasons, but now he's over it. The 2014 car's basically a shitbox, and progress? Forget about it.
Huge disappointment for Man and Tifosi.
Why I can't start the qualifying with a low battery? How is possible?
Difficult to say bye-bye, but I made that decision because I feel that it's the best for my future and probably the best for Ferrari as well. I think the future will bring some interesting things.
And so the silly season kicks off, with big shake-ups on the 2015 grid. But there's another bit of news still in the spotlight.
Lester, in a few hours, Tokyo, with its 13 million people, will take a direct hit from a storm that's already a killer.
Typhoon Fateful, a pretty strong category 4 out of 5, is hitting Japan, whipping up new waves and winds, blasting up to 90 miles per hour in the south. It's so strong that at a US base there, 1 airman lost his life and 2 others missing after being swept out to sea. The worst part? This is just the start, and things are gonna get way worse over the next few days as the typhoon moves through Japan. Even though the storm's supposed to miss Suzuka, it's still gonna rain pretty hard. So the Japanese GP is kind of up in the air, and there's a good chance it might get cancelled. It's just a matter of waiting now. F1 boss Bernie Eccleston and FIA race director Charlie Whiting suggested starting the race earlier to avoid heavy storms, but the organisers, with Honda owning the track, pushed back. So in the end, they just kept the original start time. As you can see, the track's flooded and visibility is pretty much zero. The worst part, the weather's so bad that even the emergency helicopter can't take off. Yep. This is when you realize the calls are gonna start coming one after another, and the race hasn't even started yet. Seriously, who the hell thinks it's a good idea to run a GP in conditions like this? Either way, the race starts at 3 p.m. behind the safety car.
But away we go, with the safety car leading then, Nico Rosberg on pole and Lewis Hamilton on the front row away from the grid.
Conditions are so bad that even going that slow, drivers barely have any grip.
Oh, and already into the gravel, there's Marcus Ericsson.
2 laps later, they're back in the pits.
Safety cars brought them into the pits. And will line up at the end of the pit lane, which is where the safety car has now stopped.
Will the race restart? While everyone waits, the weather actually gets a bit better, and the FIA announces that the race will restart behind the safety car at 3:25.
Clock, the 2-hour race time clock has started ticking once more, and we can get some wheels turning.
After 6 laps, with visibility still not great, the weather seems a bit better.
The track is as good as it's going to get. Puddles are not a problem.
The safety car pulls in, and the real race finally kicks off.
And look at Hamilton there, ready to pounce, isn't he, Martin? He's ready to get going. Well, now they can get going because there's the safety car line. And do you know what? Lewis Hamilton is sticking to Nico Rosberg as close as he possibly can.
Conditions seem to be getting better, and by lap 12, the first drivers switched to inters.
It's down there, Martin.
Yes, looked pretty close at the back there, didn't it, on an unsafe release, but the team's having to whistle those wet tyres out there. Great stop, that was.
By lap 24, DRS is enabled, with Hamilton pressuring Rosberg for the lead until he overtakes him on lap 29.
He can now pull to the side, round the outside goes Lewis Hamilton, into the lead goes Lewis Hamilton.
That's when, on lap 36, the heavy rain comes back, and with it, chaos.
Bit of oversteer in the middle of turn 1 into 2. Had to correct it, and he's actually found some gravel.
Then on lap 42, there's a yellow flag.
Adrian Sutil has gone off.
While the marshals head towards the car, yes, with the race still going on, the FIA has to decide. Bring out the safety car? Red flag the race? For now, it's just double yellows at the spot, meaning no overtaking, but let's be real. Drivers are still pushing hard on a soaked track with visibility getting worse by the second. The seconds tick by, and while they're still deciding what to do, they somehow think it's a good idea to bring out a crane tractor to pick up Sutil's car. A crane tractor. Meanwhile, the drivers keep battling their cars just to stay on track. Then, suddenly, the TV cuts back to Sutil's car, but something feels off. Right now, no one really knows what's going on. It takes another full minute before the FIA finally decides to bring out the safety car. Yep, 3 fucking minutes after Sutil's crash. As the confusion keeps growing and the TV crew still isn't sure what to show, the medical car suddenly rushes towards the crash site. But why? Sutil's out of the car and he looks totally fine. Well, hardly anyone noticed. But Bianchi's tracker on the map vanished before Dunlop Corner, exactly where Sutil had crashed. On lap 46, they bring out the red flag, and with just 7 laps to go, it's pretty clear the race won't be restarted, making Hamilton the winner.
Lewis Hamilton will be declared as the race winner. He has beaten the man who took pole position, Nico Rosberg, here in Japan.
That's when most people start to realize something's not right with Bianchi. There's very little info, and as the minutes go by, it's confirmed they're rushing the 24-year-old French driver to the nearest hospital. He had to be taken by ambulance.
So he's gone to a nearby hospital. He's left the medical centre here. Obviously, with this weather, he could have got there quicker with the medical helicopter, but with this weather, of course, I don't think it ever got in.
Yeah, everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. With so little information available, there's barely any celebration on the podium. It's not only until a few hours later that the worst news starts to come through. Bianchi had suffered a diffuse axonal injury, one of the most serious brain injuries you can get. He was in intensive care. What had happened? Sutil aquaplaned at Dunlop Curve, one of the fastest on the track, with the visibility getting worse and the rain not letting up. Double yellows weren't really stopping anyone from making mistakes. Just 1 lap later, Bianchi lost control of his Marussia at over 75 miles per hour at the exact same spot, crashing straight into the recovery crane and coming to a full stop in an instant. The car took a hit with 58.8 Gs, but Bianchi's body got slammed with a mind-blowing 254 Gs. Absolutely insane. I can't even comprehend. Why didn't they bring out the safety car earlier? Or the red flag? And why the heck did they decide to remove Sutil's car with a crane tractor while the race was still going on? To be honest, that was pretty common practice back then. Jules stayed in critical but stable condition on a ventilator in Japan. He was transferred to his hometown in Nice. For a moment, that gave us hope that things might be getting better. But sadly, Jules never woke up.
Formula One driver Jules Bianchi has died.
He was just a great human being, a very humble guy. He left such a mark in the sport and will be remembered forever.
On the afternoon of the 17th of July 2015, Jules passed away. He was only 25. Jules made his F1 debut in 2013 with Marussia, and even though he was stuck with one of the worst cars on the grid, he showed he was one of the brightest young talents out there, scoring the team's first ever points in Monaco 2014.
Hi Jules, mighty job mate, absolute mighty.
He was part of Ferrari's junior program, and honestly, it looked like he was on track to become a full-time Scuderia driver one day. He had so much left to give, but sadly, we never got to see it. Now, it's him, Jules' godson. They grew up together, side by side through childhood. Today, Charles is the one carrying the torch, doing what Jules never got the chance to do.
grandstands he saw built now rise for him, and for the first time in 93 years, this fabled race is won by one of their own. Charles Leclerc wins.
What Charles is doing is a continuation of Jules' legacy.
Rest in peace. Bianchi's crash was a real wake-up call for F1. One thing was clear, a lot needed to change, especially the way things were done before. And that led to new safety rules starting in 2015. They brought in the virtual safety car, which put speed limits on the parts of the track where there's been a crash. Also, sending crane tractors out on track while cars were still racing, that was banned for good. They also made a rule that races can't start less than 4 hours before sunset, unless it's an official night race, because when Bianchi's crash happened, it was already pretty dark at Suzuka. At the same time, the FIA stepped up their research into closed cockpits for F1 cars, which eventually led to the introduction of the Halo in 2018. And honestly, we couldn't be more grateful for that, since it's saved so many lives since then.
George Russell out of this race, who's finished in the top 5 in every race this season, but he's out by the time they get to turn 1.
After investigating the crash, the FIA concluded that there wasn't a single cause for Bianchi's accident. Instead, it was a mix of the track conditions and the fact that the recovery crane was out on track. It wasn't until 2016 that Bianchi's family took their first legal steps against the FIA, Marussia, and the FOM. They argued that all of them may have played a part in Jules' fatal accident, especially since it took place in dangerous conditions during typhoon season in Japan. And honestly, they weren't wrong. From what I've heard, the legal actions didn't get very far. But what really matters is that we lost not just an amazing driver, but also a genuinely great person. To be honest, it wasn't all for nothing. Jules' legacy helped make F1 safer, and his memory keeps pushing everyone to do better. He's still with us in a way, every time the cars hit the track. I know this story doesn't have a very happy ending, so if you want to get your mood up, make sure to watch this one next. And as always, thank you for watching.